Welcome to Political Beatdown. Michael Cohen here. Look, many of you brigaders already know that Ben has been waiting for this day for almost 10 full months now. All right. Right now, they are at the hospital where he is expecting his first child. So I am here, not by myself, though. We actually have a special guest that's going to be joining me, and that's Bandy Lee. So just to give you a little insight, Bandy, Dr. Lee, is a physician. She's forensic and a social psychiatrist, also recognized as a world expert on violence, teaches at Yale School of Medicine, as well as Yale Law School for 17 years before she transferred to Columbia and Harvard. Recently, of course, appearing on The Weekend Show with Anthony Davis right here on the mighty Midas Touch Network. So let's bring Bandy in, and I'm going to hope that each and every one of our brigaders gives her the warm and the loving welcome that you give every single week to Ben and to myself. So let's bring Bandy in. Bandy, nice to see you. How are you?
Nice to see you as well. I'm well.
All right. So look, there's so much that's going on right now here in this country that I truly don't understand where we've gotten to this point, why we've gotten to this point. None of this really makes any sense at all if you think about it. And that's really kind of more your expertise. So obviously, I'm going to be calling on you a lot so that we can sort of get a better understanding about not only what's happened in the past, what's happening currently, but what we should be expecting in the future as the 49 days to the election continues forward.
Yes, and Michael, I would like to say that there couldn't be a better power team than us, because I, as a mental health expert, and you as
a mental
having
case,
had
as a mental case.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't quite say that. But when you said that Donald Trump would not allow for a peaceful transfer of power the first time around in 2020, I knew that you had your finger on the problem. And
in fact, I said it though, Bandy, I said that in 2018, 2 years before the 2020 election. And I said it not, and we talk about this quite a bit here on the show, but not because I'm a psychic or, the great Karnak from the old television, right? But more because I just know the guy. I know the narcissistic sociopath that he happens to be. And right now, as things continue to decline for him, not just in terms of legally, but also in terms of politically, now that Kamala Harris has this insane momentum going, we're going to be seeing a lot more. And I really want to kind of dive in, if that's okay, with what recently just took place. Something that, as the very first time that it happened, I'm very upset about, which is the second assassination attempt on Trump. And I want to sort of break that down with you, because you have a guy, this kid, Ryan Routh, 58-year-old. I guess he's an independent. He voted for Trump in 2016, but then maybe not again in 2020. Allegedly, he had donated 19 times or so to different Democratic candidates. So, of course, what are Republicans doing? They're trying to pin it all on the Democrats. And my question to you is kind of like, what's this all about? Give us your professional opinion in terms of what's going on with this guy, Ryan Routh, and what possibly he could be thinking.
Well, I actually don't have enough information to be able to go into great detail, but I can speak more generally in that those who were previous supporters of those who are dangerously personality disordered, when they are disillusioned, could become even more radically opposed to them. It's a process in psychology called splitting, in that you idealize someone to an incredible degree, and the object of that idealization encourages it. But because it's not based on reality, after a certain time, one is disillusioned, and then one devalues the person that one had idealized at one point. And so that can be an extreme shift where one feels vindictive and, basically one's view of someone has been shattered to the point where it could turn into violence.
So, from a legal perspective, and I was playing around with this whole idea when I saw what had gone on, and like what everybody should be feeling right now is feeling grossed out. The fact that this is not the first, but the second potential attempt on the guy's life. Whether you like Donald or you don't, people don't realize just how dangerous that this sort of behavior is, because what happens is it normalizes this behavior. And I can't even begin to tell you how many people sent me some of the most vile, disgusting texts about this, we'll call it for the moment, this botched assassination attempt. I don't know why anybody would actually think that this is a good thing. If in fact that it would have been successful, it would not. In fact, like I said, it would open up every politician. It would open up every person to this type of senseless violence, something that this country has had to deal with in its past, which has, again, affected the country in so many bad ways. I want to just speak to you for a second, Bandy, about the legal issue that could potentially be here. So, of course, a whole slew of the Republicans jump out ahead of even the FBI making their statement about what had transpired. They come out and they come up with all of these wonderful, grandiose
Michael? I don't know if it's you or me, but I am not seeing you anymore. Well, in case I'm on by myself, I will just mention that violence in general is the end product of a long process whereby we can, there are many points to be able to predict violence, to prevent it. And that is exactly why I and my colleagues came out very early in Donald Trump's election and presidency. We started speaking out as soon as late 2016, speaking out publicly, that is, because we saw the potential for danger. So we weren't interested in Donald Trump as an individual as much as the public health threat that he posed and the dangers he posed. And very much like Michael had done, we were able to predict very much what would happen in the intervening years. Hi, Michael.
Sorry about that.
I lost you for a moment.
My brigaders, Spectrum sucks. Let me be very clear about that. I live in the dead center of Manhattan, and Spectrum goes in and out all day long because they're chopping up the roads here like it's going out of style. It's one of the things that I have a real problem with Jerry Nadler, which is why I'm telling you, I will end up running for Congress. It makes me so mad that they've just allowed to. Anyway, let's get back to the big issue at hand. So they continuously attack Democrats, making all of these wild allegations. In fact, what they're doing is they're blowing the story up yet again. They're blowing the story up, and they're trying to whitewash it to make it worse than what it was. From a legal perspective, I was looking at this, and when the FBI came out with the story on the report, I should say, on what occurred. So you had this 58-year-old guy who had been sleeping out there for the past 12 hours or so. He had a bag with him that contained food. He had an AR or an AK-47 assault rifle with him. At the same time, he had some ceramic gear, I guess, Teflon or something like that, to protect him in the event that there was some sort of a reprisal by Secret Service, by the police. But here's the interesting thing. What came out down the road was that he never fired a single shot. And if you listen to a whole bunch of the Republicans screaming, that they saw that there was a barrel sticking out of the bushes and that there was a shot in the direction, the vicinity where Trump was at, and that they fired back, and then he dropped the gun and he ran. He never fired that gun. Not only did he not fire the gun, at no point in time was Trump ever in what's called the line of sight for a firearm, meaning the guy had a scope so it would be in the crosshairs. What if hypothetically defense counsel for this guy, Ralph, turns around and says he wasn't there to harm Trump. In fact, he was there to protect him. He wanted to make sure that he was fine, it's almost like the Rittenhouse defense. Remember Kyle Rittenhouse when he said that he's allowed to have that firearm, though this firearm poses all sorts of problems for him. See, I could back and forth play this like a ping pong match all day long. That firearm had scraped off serial numbers, which of course makes it illegal. And that's a crime, but nowhere near the penalty for trying to assassinate somebody, least of all a charge like a former president. All sorts of craziness starts coming from this Republican side, even before they have any actual facts, none at all. What do you think's going on here?
Well, it's reflective, actually, of Donald Trump's state of mind. He probably felt like he was in a line of fire, that the way the debate went and the way Kamala Harris actually, in a sense, put him in his place as a former prosecutor. And she did quite well, showing her prowess in mental health, actually, because as a prosecutor, she would have consulted with mental health experts constantly. Those forensic psychiatrists and psychologists always engage with prosecutors or the defense. And so she showed a lot of techniques. In fact, I wrote a whole article in my Substack about how she handled the situation as a mental health expert who is accustomed to managing behavior and understands his psychology would have. So he was probably devastated. And the way that he continues to come forward, stating that he won the debate, constantly trying to frame the narrative to the opposite. Of course, we know where that could go. It could actually go into even a psychotic spiral. But in this case, he has already some basis for a narrative. And what was striking to me was that all that was reported in the beginning was that shots were made on his property, and that should immediately translate into an assassination attempt, reflects more his state of mind and everyone occurring around him to try to bolster his state of mind. Yeah.
Well, look, they're all, the whole group of lunatics that are around him, starting with, loony Lara Loomer. Everybody decided that they needed to come out. This is what when I was just on television on Saturday with Ali Velshi, I start talking about something called sane washing. And sane washing, to my brigaders here, is when you take something which is batshit stupid. Like, when I mean batshit stupid, I mean as fucking stupid as stupid can be, and you try to clean it up, to tell people what the guy was actually really saying, what he really meant, despite the fact that he's the guy who made the statement and he knows exactly what it is that he's saying. So they try to clean up his mess and so on. Jeremy, let's play that clip on Laura Loomer.
Your Republican colleagues or your allies who are concerned about your close relationship with Laura Loomer?
Well, I don't know what they would say. Laura's been a supporter of mine, just like a lot of people are supporters, and she's been a supporter of mine. She speaks very positively of the campaign. I'm not sure why you asked that question, but Laura is a supporter. I don't control Laura. Laura has to say what she wants. She's a free spirit. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I can't tell Laura what to do. Laura's a supporter. I have a lot of supporters, but I don't know what exactly you're referring to. That's okay. Yeah, please.
What's going on here? And I bring this up not for the purpose of this conversation about Ryan Routh, but this is Donald Trump deflecting. And you'll see, I'm going to do the Trump weave at the end to explain, because Laura Loomer was one of the first ones to come out on social media and starting to turn around another assassination attempt. And who do they blame it on? Of course, they blame it on Kamala Harris. They blame it on Joe Biden, despite the fact this is Kamala Harris now and Tim Walz. All right. In fact, I want to go to this video. And the next video that I just want to show the clip on is of Shady Vance talking about this violent rhetoric and doing what they do best, which is to deflect. That's all that they're doing. They know what they're doing. And in order to try to change the narrative, it's almost like when Baby Donald was 20 times in like 30 seconds using the term weird as it relates to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. He used the word weird. Why? Because the word weirdo went viral when Tim Walz called Donald Trump and J.D. Vance specifically weird. Let's play that clip.
Tell Kamala Harris, tell Joe Biden, tell all of her surrogates who are saying things like Donald Trump needs to be eliminated. They need to cut that crap out or they're going to get somebody hurt. In fact, they already did get somebody hurt. Corey Comperatory lost his life. 2 other people nearly lost their lives in Butler, PA, because these guys have let the rhetoric in this country get totally out of control. I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in trying to shut people up. I believe in debating people. But what these guys have tried to do every single time they get an opportunity, they want to throw them in prison. They want to kick him off social media. They want to do everything that they can to silence Donald Trump, and they send that signal with every action that they take. Well, if you're trying to silence Donald Trump and you're sending the message, we have to do everything that we can to silence Donald Trump, a crazy person is eventually going to take that message to heart. Thank God nothing truly tragic has happened to Donald J. Trump's life, but we are very, very close to real problems in this country. Democrats have got to cut this crap out, respect their fellow Americans, debate our differences. Don't try to get your... Don't try to censor your political opponents, because censorship will eventually lead to political violence. We've seen that now twice in the last couple of months, and I hope Democrats learn the lesson. Next question.
Bandy, what's going on here?
So they're describing themselves, actually. Whenever they speak of Democrats or immigrants or anyone they're opposed to, they are speaking of themselves. It's more than deflection. It's actually something we call projection. I think that term has been popularized in that one projects characteristics in oneself that one finds unacceptable or intolerable or society does not condone, and they project it onto their opponents. especially, and therefore persecuting or blaming their opponents will help, in their mind, help them get rid of those unacceptable, painful feelings. But in fact, they're very accurately describing what's going on with them and what needs to be done with them.
I mean, how many times have we now heard this, we'll call it violent rhetoric about immigrants, about migrants, about different communities? Talk about the most recent and the most disgustingly glaring, obviously grotesque one, what just took place in Springfield, Ohio, the attack against Haitian immigrants, with the allegations that they're eating people's pets, their cats, their dogs, and now geese that are in the water, in the lakes, in the ponds, in the park. Again, they're dehumanizing them. They're making them to appear to be animals, right? Which then gives them the ability to be cruel to them in many different ways, not just verbally, but physically. How many times have we heard Donald Trump turning around and saying, if somebody throws a tomato, beat the piss out of them. Don't worry, I'll pay for your legal fees. How many times? Oh, throw him out of here. That's right. Get him out of here. Don't be nice. Do you remember even during the 2016 campaign, he turned around and he talked about how the police are too nice to these black, he was calling them Antifa protesters. And as the cops are putting him in, smash his head into the door, teach him a lesson. This is not a man who does not continuously spout violent rhetoric. That's what he's all about. And that's what he does. I find it just very, very interesting. So on top of that, you got the next person up, Alina Habba, right? And we could probably psychoanalyze this crazy one for a long, long time, but then the entire program would be over here. Alina Habba goes on television. Of course, she goes on to their favorite news station because nobody else is going to put up with the lies. And she starts talking about how Trump risked his life. He's risking his life by playing golf for the American people. Jeremy, play that clip.
He's completely unrelenting. He will go out there today and do the same thing he has always done because he is so determined to save this country, even when it means risking his life not once, but twice. And that's all that we know of. You know him, Martha. That's who the man is. He is just the strongest, fiercest fighter that America could ask for. So
she's still fighting for first place in front of Laura Loomer now, right?
That's right. People know what they need to say to be able to be in his favor, and he's a powerful man, so they will be drawn to this. There's even more that's going on among his followers, and I've described it as Trump contagion. It's a kind of emotional contagion where someone with severe symptoms, being in a position of power for a very long time and being exposed to the public for a lengthy period of time, as Donald Trump has been throughout his presidency, what we find is that his symptoms actually spread. This is not just, I'm not just speaking about habits or ways of life or institutional accommodation, but I mean actually symptoms spread. And this is a phenomenon that's been described for 150 years. It's more familiarly known as folie à deux, because it happens a lot in couples and pairs, co-conspirators. But the phenomenon, in fact, occurs regardless of the number. It can be folie à trois, folie à quatre, folie à millions, madness by the millions. Which has been described by social psychologist Erich Fromm. And so that's what explains a lot of the inexplicable, irrational, extreme degrees to which people would comply with him. And I try to explain that in my latest book, The Psychology of Trump Contagion, because it's pervasive phenomenon. And Michael, you would have experienced that yourself because you lived in that environment when you were under Donald Trump's sway.
Yeah,
You
and I most
were,
certainly was. I talk about that, and I don't run from it. And I always say, in the event that everything that happened to me did not happen, where would I be today? Would I still be in the dumpster cult of Trump? Not 100%, certain, but there's probably a better than likely chance I wouldn't be too far away from this, Trump madness that's going on. I do just want to say this, that the FBI and Secret Service and all forms of law enforcement turn around and say, Donald Trump is very difficult. We see that from his lawyers who acknowledge it. We see it from his former employees that acknowledge it. But I'll tell you who else we're seeing. We're seeing it from Secret Service. Why? Because he has this thing about playing golf. I mean, hey, putz, you're in the middle of a fucking election. You're 48 days out for potentially and most probably losing an election, which is going to end up resulting in your incarceration, whether it'll be in a prison, in a jail, or in a serious home confinement. There'll be 4 more indictments. Remember the 3 that are outstanding, plus now the superseding indictment. How about spend more time concentrating on whether it's going to be a debate prep or whether it's going to be, preparing for rallies, like that way you don't end up calling who was it? What's his name? Nikki Jam. Instead of calling Nikki Jam a woman and telling Nikki Jam how hot she is, Nikki Jam is a guy who came up to the stage wearing a MAGA hat, and Trump was like, "Oh yeah, great to have you here, my man. Great to have you." Maybe if you prepared, because I said this also on Velshi, Trump is lazy. He is a lazy, lazy guy. Yeah, he'll get on an airplane, fly somewhere so that he can get the adulation that he needs to breathe, to live. But he won't prepare for anything. And why is it that he does not get off the freaking golf course? Why is it everything is centered around golf? And there's a reason why. There's a reason. And I know people are going to be like, oh my God, I never even thought of it. Every time he goes on the golf course, what do? They show the front entrance, Trump International Golf Course Summit, which is the golf course that's associated to Mar-a-Lago in the Palm Beach area. You know what that is, Bandy? You know what that is? It's a marketing tool for him. And
yes.
Why? Because one of his big donors, a guy named Steve Witkoff, opened up a golf course. I don't know. I've never been to it. I heard it's okay, because Trump does run good golf courses. You got to give the guy credit for what he's entitled to. But Witkoff opens up this golf course, and membership dues, I should say the bond to become a member is $1 million. And he's got people lined up in order to buy this bond for the golf course at $1 million a clip. Well, Mar-a-Lago is 250, 300,000. Well, I'll tell you what Trump did. He raised it. Said he raised the amount to, I don't even know what the number is anymore. I don't care. But he raised the number substantially. Why? Because he is in competition with everyone and anything that can make him money, which is also why, by the way, he wants more Secret Service protection, which I'm not so sure that he shouldn't have. I mean, it's only 48 or so days. Well, I should say 58 days before the election. It's going to end up costing the U.S. taxpayer a fortune of money. Don't forget, Trump charges when they stay at Mar-a-Lago or any of his locations, they charge, but they charge a rate at the all-time highest rate, not the hotel.com rate. They charge the absolute highest rate. It's all a marketing gimmick for him. It's a money-making opportunity.
You're right, in that he'll think of everything in terms of competition. That is his concept of human interaction. And whether he's winning or losing defines everything. And that's also why he's so dangerous, because he's not someone who will be able to take a loss, and why this election season is particularly dangerous, because we have not done anything to guard against that danger or to prevent violence. In fact, mental health experts were the ones who came out from the very beginning, warning against this danger. And we have not been able to sound our warnings. So if I may, Michael, we're actually holding a conference next week, September 27th, on Friday, at the National Press Club. And it will be a major conference to try to bring together the best minds of our time who can think about the need for fit leadership in these dangerous times. And there will also be a panel of mental health experts who have done a fitness evaluation on Trump, who have done a dangerousness risk assessment, because these evaluations don't really need a personal interview, and we have plenty of information. People can find out more at dangersoftrump.org. But this is just to speak to how much danger we are in and what we're trying to do quite frantically in the last weeks to try to prevent greater violence.
Yeah. And by the way, who's trying to put this fire out? Who's trying to, calm the crazy? It's Kamala Harris. She did the right thing, as did Joe Biden. They called Trump. They actually called just to turn around and to express to him like a human being that we understand what you're going to do. We're sorry that this happened to you. And that Joe Biden said that he's reaching out, of course, to Secret Service. They're going to obtain more funds in order to bring more agents on to protect him during the final 2 months of this campaign up and through the election. By the way, there's a great clip of Kamala responding to it. Jeremy, play that clip.
To former President Trump after the attempt on his life this weekend. Have you spoken to him?
I have.
And earlier today, I assume?
Yes.
How'd that go? You want to give us some intel?
Sure. I checked on him to see if he was okay.
Yeah.
And I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country. I am in this election and in this race for many reasons, including to fight for our democracy. And in a democracy, there is no place for political violence. We can and should have healthy debates and discussion and disagreements, but not resort to violence to resolve those issues.
That's right. I mean, the violence is never going to go away. Not when you have the rhetoric of Trump, not when you have the rhetoric of Shady Vance saying the things. All right, let's just do this. Let's take our first and only ad break for this episode. Jeremy, play the ad. Fall can be a stressful season, and stress leads to a feeling of being drained. To maintain your energy levels and your heart-healthy routine, it's best to avoid relying on stimulants. SuperBeets Heart Chews, it offers a convenient, delicious, plant-based way to support healthy blood pressure and circulation, two things that I need. So enjoy a heart-healthy boost without the jitters. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the unique antioxidant compound in SuperBeets, it's clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. SuperBeets Heart Chews are incredibly delicious. Really, you gotta try them to believe it. And so much better than any alternative supplements that are out there. I take my SuperBeets Heart Chews each and every morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. After taking my SuperBeets Heart Chews, I feel like I have more energy and I'm ready to take on the day. So here's something. More doctors, pharmacists, and cardiologists recommend SuperBeets for heart health support than any other brand around. And SuperBeets Heart Chews also offers a convenient way to support healthy blood pressure, since they're individually wrapped so you can take them on the go. So double your potential with SuperBeets Heart Chews and get a free 30-day supply of SuperBeets Heart Chews on all bundles, plus 15% off your first order by going to getsuperbeets.com and using code BEAT. That's getsuperbeets, BEETS.com, and use code BEAT, BEAT now. It's hot outside, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And you know what? They feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature, again, all night long, no matter the weather, so that you get better sleep every single night. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7%. Get a look, 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So there's no more gross odors too. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save, get a load of this, an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Now upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. And go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Thanks again for returning to Political Beatdown. Look, we want to thank our sponsors. Thanks to them, we're able to actually do this show because we don't here on Political Beatdown through the Midas Touch Network. We don't have outside investors or anything. And in order to continue to be able to promote these shows, so we thank you. And obviously in the links, you can try out the products. Trust me, I have them all, and they're top quality. So I want to do the Trump weave. I want to bring it right back to where it all comes. It starts here, I go here, I go here, I go here, and I bring it all. And some people say it's genius. I've never seen anybody do anything like it before, right? This is who Donald Trump is. So I'm going to do a quick Trump weave because I promised you that I would. I want to go back to Laura Loomer, because one of the things that Laura does is she makes up these crazy conspiracy. First of all, I'm not just disappointed, I'm disgusted. As a New Yorker who knew several people who died in the World Trade Center, the fact that Trump thought it was right to bring her to the 9/11 24th anniversary memorial, somebody who has claimed that the entire attack at the World Trade Center was an inside job, when you have all of the families there. Some of these kids are 24 years old. They were newborns when they lost their parent. Disgusting that they brought her. I want to play this clip. We call it the Loomer Free Spirit clip. Play it.
Your Republican colleagues or your allies who are concerned about your close relationship with Laura Loomer?
Well, I don't know what they would say. Laura's been a supporter of mine, just like a lot of people are supporters, and she's been a supporter of mine. She speaks very positively of the campaign. I'm not sure why you asked that question, but Laura is a supporter. I don't control Laura. Laura has to say what she wants. She's a free spirit. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I can't tell Laura what to do. Laura's a supporter. I have a lot of supporters, but I don't know what exactly you're referring to. That's okay.
Of course he doesn't know. And he can't tell. He tells everybody what to do 24/7. You know, I also want to just go back for a quick second, Bandy, and I want to bring up this point that as the election nears to November, you're going to start to see more anxiety, more stress over what's happening, especially as Harris Walls continues this crazy momentum, this rocket ship momentum up, and then you're watching a death spiral by Trump. All of a sudden, you're going to start to see more bad behavior coming out on the Republican side. What do you see there?
Yes, absolutely. And this time, it's not just going to be him and a few of his cronies. It'll be entire institutions and perhaps even foreign leaders, where all manner of violence could happen. It's a very frightening situation because people have realized over the last 4 years that you can get away with trying to subvert already completed a done election. Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil, for example, copied Donald Trump. Many other elected leaders have copied him, and in fact, he's kind of proliferated in many Trumps over time. And now we have even the electoral system infiltrated with many of his supporters, and we don't really know who would be his supporters willing to do his bidding behind the scenes.
And they do. And they absolutely do, which is the scary part. Look, you know, one of the other things is you have to then compare the two different sets, the Republicans versus the Democrats. Look at the divisiveness that's coming out of the Republican Party. Look at the constant attacks on people all day long. Such a stark contrast between the two different sets. All right. I mean, you know, you have Kamala Harris, who's trying to, you know, create unity. She's trying to go back to days where there was compassion and appreciation for one another. And then, of course, you have the other side, which is all vitriolic. It's all attacks. It's all dehumanizing. It's all divisiveness. You know, I think we have a clip on this one. Let's see if we have it, the one that compares the two.
I know that regardless of someone's background, their race, their gender, their geographic location, I know that people are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community in Springfield, Ohio. And it's got to stop. And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America, engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country, is designed to have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that. And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense and to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting, and it's harmful, and it's hateful, and grounded in some age-old stuff that we should not have the tolerance for. So let's
Vice President, I want to move to Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community. You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school.
A lot of people who pretend to be fair journalists. You know what they've been saying? For the last few days, Springfield has been experiencing an unbelievable number, something like 35, 40 bomb threats in Springfield in just the last few days. And you know what the governor of Ohio came out yesterday and said? Every single one of those bomb threats was a hoax, and all of those bomb threats came from foreign countries. So the American media, for 3 days, has been lying and saying that Donald Trump and I are inciting bomb threats, when in reality, the American media has been laundering foreign disinformation. It is disgusting, and every single one of them owes the residents of Springfield an apology. But I think it illustrates something, my friends, that is so sick from the American press in 2024. And it's that instead of talking about the crises in our country, they try to silence the people who are experiencing them. Because they're...
No. By the way, did you see the kid over Vance's right shoulder? They call that camera right, who was yawning. Then you got the one that's over his left shoulder, who looks stoned, wearing a pair of sunglasses and a MAGA hat. This is who we're dealing with. What's your take on that, Doc?
Well, again, he's describing himself and Donald Trump, spreading misinformation, disinformation, misleading the public in order to create their own scenario of reality that has nothing to do with reality. Yeah. It's entirely wishful thinking, starting with the Haitians eating cats or dogs. That's how they would like them to be in order to justify their dehumanization of them, their hatred for others, because it's actually the root of the problem is their inability to have compassion and empathy for other human beings. And in order to advance their own worldview, their agenda of advancing themselves, of giving themselves traits that they don't actually have, they have to, as you said, deflect and project their own characteristics onto others. And the more severe their symptoms are, the more severe and accurate the projections will be. Accurate meaning you just need to reverse it. And
right,
they're just
it's why I constantly say that this contrast between these two groups could not be any starker. But you know, one of the things that I always talk about each and every week on the show is the Midas Touch Network. Unapologetic, raw, unfiltered. I have a very bad mouth. My mom, at times, even though I'm 58, would like to wash it out with soap. It's just being the New Yorker that I am. But one of the things I love about this network is there's no innuendo here. It's nothing but facts. I want to play this one clip that Midas Touch Network put out. It's on steep mental decline of Donald J. Trump. And as a leading psychologist in this sort of field, I really want to get your take on what I think is one of the most brilliant commercials that's out there. Let's play that commercial.
And my stupid people, when I wanted to refute it, they said, "Sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal.
Have you been noticing peculiar behavior recently in someone you know?
Carried out by rape.
Someone who mixes fiction and reality?
The late great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Perhaps someone of advanced age you have known for years.
Did you just see Maduro? Venezuela, it's unbelievable, Venezuela.
Of course, we all have our goofs. But consistently odd behavior can be a sign of frontotemporal dementia, a degenerative disease of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain that dramatically impairs cognitive function. And there are some key signs to look out for, like slurring words.
The failing New York Times by anonymous.
Struggling to find the correct words is another sign.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges of the investigation.
You may also notice someone veering into incoherent ideas detached from reality.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Or an inability to complete simple sentences.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Other notable symptoms include impaired motor function, such as a wavering limb, and decreased balance, often accompanied by a signature lean or arched stance. If someone you know is demonstrating several or all of these symptoms, they are seriously unwell. As a matter of safety, they must be relieved of critical responsibilities and disqualified from any position of authority. Remember, frontotemporal dementia is a degenerative disease. Cognitive function will never return and will only deteriorate further. Don't ignore the signs.
Doc?
That's a terrific ad. And that's exactly why it's important to distinguish between normal variation and abnormal signs that are very serious. That's one of the reasons why, as mental health experts, we decided in 2017 to come out with first the conference that I held at Yale, and then the New York Times bestseller, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts assess a president. Basically, we were trying to warn the public that the signs they are seeing is they're not normal variation. They're not just a quirky personality, that these are dangerous signs of an individual that would spread and commit violent acts, as well as dangerous policies that would lead to lots of damage and deaths. And that's exactly what happened. 1.2 million American deaths from COVID-19 mismanagement, the violent insurrection that injured 174 police officers and killed 5, the culture of violence that has been spread to the point where political violence has been normalized. All these things are emanating consequences of his mental impairment. And the benefit of expertise is that we can see this far before it happens, which is why we felt the need to warn the public, because we have a legal obligation to warn and to protect when there's a danger that's posed to the public. And again, because we were not able to do it effectively, in fact, I was blacked out of most of the media after being the #1 topic of national conversation about 7 years ago. And so that's why we're holding this critical conference about the importance of mental fitness in leadership. Again, it's going to be on September 27th at the National Press Club. dangersoftrump.org is where people can find out more, or my own website, bandylee.com. But the reason for this is because the public is deprived of critical information of just how impaired Donald Trump is and how dangerous he continues to be. And the dangers have only increased. And thank goodness for ads that Midas Touch has produced, such as this, which helps to fill some of the educational gap. But there's still a lot to be done.
Yeah, they help to shed the light on the reality of a man who is running for the highest office in the land. In fact, I want to show you another one that Midas put out. And this one, something I've been calling Trump, and I'm sure you've called it in your book as well. He's a narcissistic sociopath. He's a malignant narcissistic sociopath. Let's go to that ad, and then I want to get your reaction to that one.
We will be creating so much electricity that you'll be saying, please, please, President, we don't want any more electricity. We can't stand it. You'll be begging me, no more electricity, sir.
Is someone you're thinking of hiring promising things that sound too good to be true?
I could stop wars with a telephone call.
Do their facts and figures not add up?
Actually, beyond a number of 100%. It's a much higher number than that, but
Does the candidate seem self-absorbed?
people have come up to me and they say,
Sir, thank you.
sir, thank you.
Sir, I want to thank you. You've made me a hero to my wife and to my family.
In all likelihood, you've encountered the malignant narcissist. Malignant narcissism is a severe personality disorder that pairs the self-absorbed behavior of narcissists with the unfeeling manipulation of sociopaths. Unlike those who simply enjoy recognition from their peers, the malignant narcissist is driven by a desire to dominate for personal gain. And there are red flags you can look out for. Like, do they have an unrealistic view of their own importance?
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln.
Do they only regard other people as tools for personal gain?
I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.
Do they lack empathy, even for children?
Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here. I think she really believed me that I love having a baby crying while I'm speaking.
Do they speak with an excessive use of superlatives?
Who are the best and who are the worst? Best, the worst, biggest, lowest, best. I find it to be about the worst.
If the candidate you're interviewing exhibits some or all of these red flags, trust your instincts and show them the door. Your organization deserves an employee that can lead with integrity and respect. Stay vigilant. Look for the red flags.
Another great one. Yes, it's critical to educate the public that such severe personality disorders exist. And they're difficult to distinguish because the narcissism, in fact, occurs on a spectrum. There's normal narcissism, which we all require to be able to function. And then there's pathological narcissism, there's malignant narcissism, and at the extreme end, there's psychopathy. And at the level of psychopathy, you're encountering someone who is incapable of having human emotions, other than anger, revenge, and jealousy against others for having this human capacity that they do not have. And so they're actually out to wreak vengeance. They wish to harm signs of life. They do dehumanize and wish to eliminate signs of life. A colleague of mine has called them outsiders of love. So because of reasons of genetics or upbringing or societal conditions, because the rates have been going up with whatever is happening in society, we find that there are these individuals who are incapable of the normal kinds of human interactions, human emotions, and care for other people that just come naturally to us. We cannot imagine human beings without these capacities, and yet there are certain individuals, 1% of the population, but it occurs on a spectrum. So 1% of the most extreme cases, but and narcissism, pathological narcissism is 5%, perhaps even more. And these are conditions where it's pathology, and therefore whatever the individual is intending, the results will be destruction and death, which are the goals of pathology, unlike ideology, which is always life affirming when it comes from a healthy place. And so that's the real scary part. And
I think you just nailed it. I mean, it's precisely correct as it relates to Donald Trump. I mean, I don't think there's a person that's with us right now that's saying, yeah, those three descriptions that you laid out falls right into Trump. Imagine a 78-year-old man attacking a young woman. I'm referring to Taylor Swift. Imagine the stupidity in that. A man who wants to run, I hate Taylor Swift, was his post on his, whether it was on X or his Untruth social platform. This is not somebody who has any empathy for anything. If the fact that she is interested in voting for, which is her right to vote for Kamala Harris, does not mean that she should be, open to his vitriol and trying to take her down. What he doesn't understand, because he is stupid, is that she is at least 100 times more popular with the American people, whether they're young or old. Her music just happens to be great, and attacking her was just stupid. So, look, one of the other things, Doc, that we do here on this political beatdown, I apologize if it's going to be a little offensive, but every episode, someone gets what's called the two-finger salute. The two-finger salute, in this case, has to go to Laura Loomer, has to go to the fact that she thought that her presence, I don't care whose diaper she's changing and so on. Yeah, great, you found your soulmate. I couldn't be happier for, the future ex-Mrs. Trump. As far as I'm concerned, the fact that she even went to the 9/11 memorial is so offensive to me that Laura Loomer, who is an absolute conspiracy theorist, fuck you, Laura, on behalf of everybody and every person in New York who knew somebody whose family member passed, for the American people who sympathized, right, who have the ability to express empathy for this loss, all right, you are a horrible, horrible human being. Now, I also want to turn around and just say, before we end up calling this over, Patreon. To those, we are going to, when Ben comes back right after the baby, we're going to do our next Patreon event. And if not, if he's going to take a little bit of extra time, which I think is only right, first child, the whole bit, because, Doc, I have empathy, right? I said to him the other day when we were talking, I can't wait to speak to you, and you're like slurring, you're exhausted because you're getting up in order to feed the baby every 2 hours, every 3 hours. I said, I went through it twice, of course, 29 and 25 years ago, but I love it. I couldn't be happier for him, as I'm sure all the brigaders are. So join me, and I'm going to let you know on Thursday what day I'm doing it. It's going to be it's either this coming Thursday, we're going to do it, or on Tuesday. So go to patreon.com/political beatdown. Join today. All right. Join me. We're going to ask me a whole series. We're going to have another open and direct private conversation with our brigaders. If you haven't already joined and subscribed to my YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show, where you get these great 8, 10, 12-minute reactions to these crazy events that we're dealing with, please go there now. Subscribe. That's free. We're on our way to 250,000 subscribers. We're like at 177,000 after 60 days only. So I thank each and every one of you. And lastly, all right, if you haven't, also subscribe and listen to my podcast, which is run right here on the Midas Touch Network. All right, it's a Midas Touch Network podcast called Mea Culpa. Remember, it's the one with the blue background. All right, that's for the new episodes that are out there. I have currently on Harry Sisson. I have Tara Setmayer. I have the two Angie and Jen from I've Had It podcast. We have had people like Rosie and Ben Stiller. It's really a super podcast. There's a lot of information there that's going to be important as we get to the November election date. On top of that, let me go ahead and let me say, remember, Political Beatdown listen to the podcast there as well. It's great. It helps us to stay at the top of the 50 top most important podcasts in news on all, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So thank you to each and every one of you. Doc, I'm going to let you close us out. Tell us what you're working on and what you're finishing up. Tell us about the book and this upcoming event.
Yes, you can find out all about it in my website, bandylee.com. I have a new book out describing Trump contagion, Psychology of Trump Contagion, an existential danger to American democracy and all humankind. And coming up next Friday, September 27th, there will be a major conference occurring at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. It's very much what we held before. We held another major conference that was covered by C-SPAN, and this time it will be covered by Midas Touch.
There you go.
Ben Meisler has offered, and also we will be issuing a new book, The More Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. 40 psychiatrists and mental health experts warn anew. So you can see it's expanded from 27 originally to 37 and now 40. And yes, it'll be a monumental event, hopefully. Your participation will make it so.
Well, there you go. Dr. Lee, thank you for joining me and for filling in for Ben. Truly appreciate. I mean, your insight is beyond phenomenal. It's so relevant, and it really should be helping to open up the eyes of all of those that already figured out who and what Donald Trump is. But I can't thank you enough, Dr. Lee. Thank you. Next time, see you on Thursday, my friends, right here on Political Beatdown.
Okay, thank you.